So can you tell me some tools that Shreshth Gupta is using right now that every designer should dabble into?
It really would affect the way we design and execute today, because that is something that not a professional has done, first of all. Secondly, looking at architecture and interior design as just designing is not the correct way to go about it. It has a lot of engineering that goes into it. So be it plumbing, electrical, HVAC, so all the MEP services that are integrated, structural
Such a valid
engineering.
point.
So
Yeah.
those are things that a client would overlook in that kind of a render.
So speaking about jobs, do you feel that there are some jobs that are vulnerable because of AI? What will the scenario be in the next 10, 20 years?
So definitely human intuition is something that AI probably, hopefully, never be able to replicate. But having said that, definitely empathy, the emotional value that humans put, the kind of when we design a space, we are looking at the end user, the experience that end user is going to have.
Should AI be taught to students in colleges now? Can you imagine a dream home being designed by AI instead of an architect? We are living in a world where everyone's adopted AI in some way, shape, or form. Today, we will be talking about AI in design and architecture industry with an architect who is experimenting with a lot of softwares. Let's dive into this chat, one dialogue at a time. Welcome to the show. Shreshth, how are you?
I'm good, Atharu. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry, every little kid is talking about AI. Everyone knows what ChatGPT is. How has AI changed the scenario in design and architecture so far?
So that's a really good question to start with. I think what ChatGPT did to writing, AI is doing to design.
Okay.
And it's something that we need to start adopting in our daily workflow, because it is going to be here to stay.
What is AI then? If we really have to break it down, what is AI? What's the science behind it? And has it just been sticking around for the last 6 months or 1 year?
Is nothing but machine learning. And if we go into the history of it, it's basically what computers were invented for, to mimic the human mind.
Right.
And if you think about AI or artificial intelligence in a way that we want to kind of look at the future from here, it's learning from the data that it has, and it's growing from there. It's doing very complex computational mathematics and delivering results, which the human mind also does. So it's just doing it faster and better, because it has so much data to process, and it can do it within seconds.
Definitely. So talking about AI in design, is it only limited to the ideation stage if you talk about the workflow, or would it also come into execution at some time?
So currently, what AI is doing to our industry is changing the dynamics of how we conceptualize and how we showcase the initial presentations to our clients. It's kind of opening up new avenues in a way that how we present to the client, how we showcase our ideas, because initially it was more of mood boards or just discussions with the client.
Yeah.
Now it's actually visualization.
Right.
So that's where the ideation comes in. Secondly, it also does optimization. So we can also, at a very conceptual level, optimize the data that we have from the client. So supposing it's a site analysis, solar studies, environmental studies, be it Vastu, which is very relevant in India today.
It is.
And also when you talk about construction or the execution part of it, it is being used to track the progress on site. It is used to kind of understand where things are going wrong. Material resource management is a huge part of it. So it is slowly and steadily being incorporated in every realm of the different stages of design. But on the initial stages, it's very prevalent today.
Okay. So can you tell me some tools that Shreshth Gupta is using right now that every designer should dabble into, just to, even it could be for ideation or anything else?
Of course. So there are over 100 tools that are there in the market, and we've
Okay.
been experimenting with almost all of them in the last 6 months. We've discovered new tools every day, and what we are trying to do is at least use those for conceptualization and initial presentations with the client. So a tool like Midjourney is one that you can use, just text to image generation, which is really great. The kind of ideas that you can generate with it is great, just at a conceptual level. Secondly, DALL-E and ChatGPT, which also does text to image generation,
Right.
but it's more of a common way, but it gives great results, and it's free, so you can do that. Thirdly, you can use softwares like Forma, Comfy UI, or DALL, which is also taken over by Google now. So
Nice.
interesting softwares are coming out to do the building massing studies, doing environmental and solar studies,
Nice.
things like that. So you can look into those. And lastly, I would say the BIM softwares, all the different, like supposing Revit, for example, has plugins that you can use which have AI generation.
Okay.
So there's lots of things that you can explore. But yeah,
Yeah.
to start with, I think just text to image generation is something you should incorporate in day-to-day work.
Nice. For many of the homeowners, and because their knowledge to this is very limited, right?
Yeah.
Pinterest and Instagram were sort of the go-to places
Yeah.
of how images should look like, or what a space should look like. Delving into these softwares, does that kill the originality, or does it actually enhance your ideation? Does it enhance your creativity?
That's a great question, because earlier when I started out, I had clients who used to come to me with a ready Pinterest board, and that, oh, we want exactly this. And what that was doing to us was kind of giving us design fatigue, in a way that everything has to be perfect, everything has
Yeah.
to be very put together. There wasn't a personal touch to it. And that's become worse with AI, I would say, because an architect's design creativity is getting killed, but not to an extent where clients can kind of get into it. Because what happens is, when clients come to us and they give us prompt words, so that
Yeah.
is very important when you look at it. We also use that in our design. So supposing a client says, I want a Scandinavian.
Yeah.
So that Scandinavian word is a prompt for us that we design around them.
Right.
And now what we are doing is using those prompts to give good prompts to ChatGPT.
So what you said, those prompt words are very important, right? And for example, I, as a homeowner, come
Yeah.
to you and I say Scandinavian look, minimalistic look, XYZ.
Yeah.
And then I also draft an image from AI, and then I bring it to you. What are the chances that I take this image as a final rendered image, and this is what I want my space to look like? What are the implications of that, perhaps?
I think that would have devastating implications, in my
Okay.
opinion. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what others would say. But having said that, it really would affect the way we design and execute today, because that is something that not a professional has done, first of all. Secondly, looking at architecture and interior design as just designing is not the correct way to go about it. It has a lot of engineering that goes into it. So be it plumbing, electrical, HVAC, so all the MEP services that are
Yeah.
integrated, structural
Such a valid
engineering.
point.
So
Yeah.
those are things that a client would overlook in that kind of a render. And to integrate that and then kind of design something around it would be very, very challenging for us.
So you rightly pointed out that the execution perhaps needs to go hand in hand with the design, and sometimes it might not be possible.
Yeah.
So what if there are some structural issues? For example, something goes wrong, right? Who would be liable then? Is it the tool? Is it the client? Is it the execution team?
So that's a very good question, but again, like there's globally speaking, there's no legal backing to AI right now, and the professional being appointed by the client has to be liable for it. So even if AI is being used to kind of integrate into the workflow, but it cannot be liable legally.
Right.
So the professional is going to be.
So what you said is, if the professional is, at the end of the day, he's taking on the responsibility of executing the project, they will be liable. That's a very fair point. And then also, I think comes with that is the human touch of, getting into, I don't know, material selection or execution, or giving that trust and comfort to the client.
Yeah.
How important is that we perhaps have forgotten about, which AI will not be able to cater into, will not be able to have a look at how and what materials should be used, who is the best vendor to choose from, such soft skills. What do you have to say about that?
So definitely human intuition is something that AI probably, hopefully never be able to replicate. But having said that, definitely empathy, just the emotional value that humans put, the kind of when we design a space, we are looking at the end user, the experience that end user is going to have. And so the best part is that it's not something that you can measure. It's a non-measurable entity, so that's why there's no data. There is a lot of data, but there's no data that a machine learning tool can use to extract as of now, and kind of grow from there. But so that's why the human intuition and the kind of knowledge that we possess cannot kind of replicate what AI is doing.
So speaking about jobs, do you feel that there are some jobs that are vulnerable because of AI? What will the scenario be in the next 10, 20 years? Are designers, architects, or contractors, for example, at risk in any way, shape, or form?
So definitely there are jobs at risk, like in every sector that AI is overtaking.
Okay.
The jobs at risk, I would say, are initial 3D visualizers, who do the conceptual renders for us.
Right.
Secondly, CAD draftsmen.
Right.
So there are a lot of tools out there that are doing good drafting work. If you just give them an initial sketch, it's converting into good working drawings, in fact. And also, the jobs that might not be at risk is conceptual thinkers and creative people. So creativity is something that AI cannot immediately replicate, because it's machine learning, so it's learning from the existing data. But if you are creating something new and something which is completely different from what is existing in the current world, is where you stand out. So that is something that AI cannot replace. Secondly, just like we earlier discussed, the empathy, the emotional value that we hold is something that AI cannot replace.
Also, the execution side of things. I know a few contractors who say that AI could perhaps be able to design everything from head to toe, but they will not be able to execute it similarly. So do you feel that the hierarchy has changed as well, where the top flowing, where architects and designers were the decision makers and contractors were perhaps the doers, executors, where executors now feel a little more safer as compared to the designers and architects?
100%. And definitely site managers, site engineers, people on ground that are doing execution, the contractors, the laborers, the mysteries, as we call them, the karigars. Those are things that AI cannot replace. Of course, there will be robotics that will be involved in the future, but as of now, I think it's very important that the execution team on ground is something that we have to work towards.
Should AI be taught to students in colleges now?
Definitely, AI is something that needs to be a part of the everyday curriculum. They need to have the different strategies and different kind of courses that are being taught in colleges and schools, where AI is being a core part of their curriculum. So, because if adoptability is the biggest concern today, because if they don't adopt it and they don't know what to do with AI, how to kind of use to make themselves more efficient, is something that they will lose out on.
100%. I have heard from number of people that if you're not adopting AI in your business, you're behind the curve. Do you think it's the same with design and architecture as well, or you could perhaps still go down the traditional route and still execute projects?
So, you know how they say, yeah, you'll be behind in the rat race when if you don't start you adopting to the future technologies.
Yeah.
So people who didn't adopt to say computers, or didn't adopt to AutoCAD as a software when it was launched, they did kind of lose out on things, because these are technologies, softwares, hardwares that kind of make your workflow more efficient. Your project profitability goes up, and the output and the quality of output becomes better. So definitely needs to be adopted, and definitely will make your business grow.
Paint me a picture. We're in 2035. Where is AI sort of playing a role in the design industry? How are designers and architects using that AI to deliver projects?
I don't know about 2035, but the way our landscape has changed in the last 6 months is just beyond me. And
Okay.
10 years from today is just unimaginable. And but yeah, if to give it some context, I feel like AI is going to be very, very prevalent out there. It is going to be taking over the design industry in a way that we probably can't fathom today. It is going to be there in the conceptual stages, in the optimization stages, execution, like we discussed, and definitely post execution, which we really don't talk about in daily lives. But when a building is constructed and its operations are going on, how those operations are optimized and utilized. So there are a lot of companies doing research on this, where they can predict any failures. They can they know beforehand if there's going to be a particular
Anomaly,
failure,
yeah.
be it in terms of electrical, water, anything out there. And so it's going to be very, very prevalent.
Nice. What is one piece of advice that you'd like to give out to a young architect or designer, that how should they implement AI in their work?
I would definitely say learn AI, but
Yeah.
don't forget people.
Yeah.
You need to be obsessed with people, because people are who you're designing for.
100%.
Living creatures, not just people, even animals. But don't just leave AI out of it. You need to make AI work for you rather than you work for AI.
Very well said. Just last question before we wrap this up. Is there a divide between AI adopters and non-AI adopters right now?
So again, there is definitely a divide, and I feel like the adopters are going to choose speed over depth.
Yeah.
Which is something like, the early adopters always come out on top.
Yeah.
That is something that you need to kind of consider when looking at the broader picture. But having said that, it also matters, because hand drawing and the emotions attached with the hand drawing will never overtake what AI does. And but again, that doesn't matter to developers who are just running behind ROIs.
Yeah. For designers and architects, sometimes a project is just not a project. They want to put their heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
It means a lot. We've had people who are sitting where you are sitting, and they love the way that I love the way how they talk about their first project, the amount of love and effort they've put into it, and
Yeah.
it still holds a memory for them even after these so many years. So I feel if that creativity is taken away from that project by a software,
Yeah.
then that project might lose its value, not in anyone else's eye, but perhaps in your own perception, right? Because you know that the amount of effort that you were capable of putting into the project, you've not done justice to it. You've just dealt with it as just another project for, again, as you
Yeah.
said, ROI basis, and that's what the project has ultimately boiled down to. This has been a very interesting topic. We've just sort of surface level touched on AI and what the implications and what the industry will look
Yes.
like in the future. Thank you for sharing all these insightful information and taking the time out to come here today. It's been a lovely chat, and I hope, if not the traditional architects take something out of it, I hope the young students and designers take something out
Yeah.
of it, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be behind the 8 ball, but you also do not want these softwares to completely replace the skill and the creativity that one is capable of. Shreshth Gupta,
Absolutely.
thank you very much for taking the time out. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you, and thank you for having me here.